Hey there, friends and fiends. Jesus. Man, you're killing me. You're freaking killing me. Um, I apologize. I swapped scenes and then audio was like, we're gonna blow your ears out. Can't even hear myself. Yeah, today has been a day. Just about everything's been a frustration. It took about 3 times longer than it should have been. Including setting up for this, which my computer decided to run updates after I told it, hey, pause those updates. I don't want to run them right now. Ran the updates anyways, which screwed up my start menu and screwed up my audio, even though my audio was already a little screwy. And now it's even more screwy, and I don't know why yet. So that's fine. Sorry, I've had a whole bunch of technical stuff, but it goes even beyond that. I had, like, I started up Windows, and Windows is like, oh, by the way, we're just not going to run Explorer. So I'm just staring at a gray screen, like, what? So, and apparently we are. I don't think you guys can hear it, but apparently then we're going to mow the lawn outside. So that's nice. I got my Arthur fist. Arrgh! It's one of those kind of days. So I got a few things I got to clear up real quick because I was trying to text shoot all that stuff. So give me a second. We're gonna jump in and we're gonna do session prep today. So which means it's gonna be a working stream. Which I was gonna turn off the audio anyways because I had to figure out how to make this thing work. Hopefully I'll be able to listen to audio. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Uh, how are things with you guys? Hopefully, doing better than me. It's just been, man, it's been that kind of day. It has just been that kind of day, unfortunately. But hopefully, your day's going a little bit better than mine is. Let's move this. Done. And then we'll jump into it. I just need a quick little minute. Get this last bit of setup. This man. Yeah, this. So the first thing with my audio actually started yesterday. Everything was going fine. Randomly in the middle of the day, my computer was like, "Ah, we're just not going to recognize the speakers on your computer anymore." And I was like, "What?" So yeah, I have speakers plugged in, and they were working fine. And then they weren't working all of yesterday. Most of the day, I restarted my computer. It did the Windows update I told it to pause and not do, and not install. And at least that part seems to have fixed the speakers. The speakers are now back. I don't know. Windows is getting to the point where it's just I may not be using it much longer. I may have to figure out how to transition everything over to Linux, which is I should be able to do most stuff over there, but it is definitely not really what I want to do. Like I'd prefer not to do that because I've already got everything set up, and instead dual boot that stuff every freaking time. Uh, I don't want to do this. Stop doing that. Nightmare. I'm just trying to pull the tab out. Stop freaking out. One of those days I need to breathe. I just need to breathe. Oh, relax. So yeah, I apologize for how scuffed the start of the screen is going to be, because it is. Goodness gracious. Okay, and we're almost ready. And the last little bit's done, and we should be good to go. And to grab this, do this, and open this stupid thing, and we should be good. Now, okay. I think we can close this. I think we're about good to go. Oh, you know what? Okay, thank goodness. I remembered to do that this time. And I remember to do that. That's always good. I sound funny. Yeah, I bet I do. The audio's all effed up. You know, Sans. Sorry. And unfortunately, I don't have the monitor to hear the feedback of my own voice because then it creates a weird loop. I think. I bet maybe if I do this. One moment.
Is that any better? Hopefully better. I think that may change the audio on my side. Okay, so that part is better for me. Okay, good. All right. Well, I turned that on. I guess sometimes it does this. These headphones are also used to be like hands-free microphone for like video conferencing and that stuff. So they have a microphone in it, and Windows recognizes those as two different devices, whether it's going to be the headphones or the hands-free version. And sometimes it just likes to switch which one it's going to use in the middle of it. So sometimes it does it, and I can't. And the only way I figured that out in OBS is that I can switch the mic input from this mic to the default, which is also this mic, and that seems to swap the headphones for some reason. I wish I could make that make sense. I can't though. But today we are going to be, it's going to be a working stream, which means I'm going to listen to my music. So we're not going to be listening to this anymore anyways. Get out of here. So I'll show you what I am going to be listening to, and then we're going to just jump into it because I already scuffed enough. So let's go ahead and pull the stuff up. I need the window capture. Come here. So this is what I'm going to be listening to today. This is Mami Koyami and Vivid. So I don't know this one. I don't know Forest Temple, Yoke of the Blue Memory, which is the second track in this playlist, or the third one, which is Towerwind's Mournful Cycle of Kingdom. 2 Dungeon Synths, and then this one's more of like a city pop kind of album. So I haven't listened to any of them before. We'll see. I might have to jump out and be like, this music's not going to work. But that's what we're going to try to do. Let's actually pull it over to stuff we actually need to look at. There we go. All right. So here's our session prep document. We need to go all the way down to the bottom, and we need to make us a brand new session 38. Go up here, and we're gonna go, hey, we need a new subtab. It's gonna be session 38. Over, and go. Now, I can be a little slow with this prep work, which is very nice, because I'm not running this Friday. This Friday, we will be having friends running his campaign. We do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. We play weekly. So I'm not doing this until, gosh. So not this Friday, not this, so not until 7/10. Play 10. So I've got plenty of time. We don't have to worry too much about that. But it is nice to have that in the bag. All right, well, first thing, if you guys followed this before, you're going to be familiar with my prep process. If you're not, thanks for showing up. Stream or the VOD if you're watching the video later. First thing we do, when does prep start? Prep starts when we're still in the last session. The last thing that I like to do before we finish out any session is to confirm with my players, what are you guys going to do next time? It's really hard to prep D&D if your players can go anywhere and do anything, which is D&D. It's the strength of D&D, but it's also the weakness of D&D as far as prepping for stuff. So what I like to do, and I think everybody should try to do, is at the end of the session, just have your players confirm what their intended path is. What are you guys going to do next? So we got that intention. I got that from them. They are going to return to the Blighted Grove, which is great. So they're going to go back to an adventure location, which will be pretty much the climax of this adventure that they've been on for a while now. When was actually the start of this adventure? I mean, the truthful start of this adventure is like session 23. Technically the end of session 22. And we're up to session 38. So they've been on this adventure for a long time. But most of this early level stuff was them getting Halamith. When do they have Halamith back? This is when they get back to the Planespeak. They're pretty much in here. So they're in this last half for, a few sessions here. Half a dozen or so. A little extra. So, at the end, got that confirmation from them. The second thing that I do when I do the prep is, as soon as possible, I like to write my session recap. Recap is my handwriting. A recap is what I'm writing. So, I usually write it down by hand. I get my hand notes there. We jump in, and so I do this. I try to do it as soon as possible, so that way I capture as much detail as possible that I think is going to be important. And then, honestly, I put it away. So I did this recap on Friday. This is the first time I've looked at it since then. Time to speak full and utter bullshit without many connections to the object of the stream. Yay! So, that's the plan. I'm going to write up the recap real quick, so we'll go back to that session 38, or 37. Down here at the bottom, I will write that. You'll see that some of the stuff I already have traveled to the Blighted Grove, which they have not done yet. So I did a little bit more prep than I knew I was going to need for last time, just in case they got that far. I didn't know. There was getting a lot of talky last session, so I didn't know exactly how far they were going to get. But now I have the superpower of hindsight to know that, they weren't going to get that far. Alright. Up on my little stand. Get up here. Alright, now can I read my own handwriting? Maybe, maybe not. Actually, usually I try to take notes while I'm playing the game, and they're usually not very useful, or at least they're just kind of like footnotes to help me when I'm writing the recap. I can just write the recap. It's all bullet points, so it's super easy. Alright, so the group heads back. Bay Pharaohs. And they discover Tom's charred corpse is gone in the middle of the road. After they did a light little bit of murder in the session previous. Yeah, it's a bit of a pre-cap. The pre-cap before the recap. That they did a check-in with the Vegemen. There are veggie pygmies that are kind of the central part of this entire adventure that they're on. Trying to stop a blight that's in them that is passing on to people, but is primarily contained to them. And they check in with the Vegemen. They head down into the Maragon Gate. And they have a fight with some Grey Oozes as they investigate the pristine Giant's suite. They do that to go down there. They get kicked around a little bit, and not a very difficult combat by any stretch of the imagination. But they've got some people that aren't necessarily hurt. But we do, at this point, have people that have multiple levels of exhaustion, so they're not doing great. They have a lot of disadvantage on stuff, including things like attacks and saving throws. So even a relatively simple fight is a little bit more taxing than you might expect. Which is one of the reasons why I really like exhaustion, especially so we're using the 2014 version of exhaustion still, because it's just a little bit more punchy than just taking a -1 to stuff. We got that in there. They decide to head back because they are not really ready to take that on. I should say down the facing the sulfur, well, the English way, sulfurous, or the American way, I should say. Sulfurous scent of Swain, their old party member who has gone rogue and attacked them in the previous session. They decide to abandon that and come back. The funny thing is that Coin was literally on the other side of that door, I believe, through that next passage. But that's okay. If they had gone through that, they would have gone. It would have been real bad for them. So I'm glad they didn't, because that would have gone. Ugh. Would have been bad. Let's see. Returning. Bayfaras. They go through Dassos, which is a village. And the Hierophant aura is intact and a growing question mark. So that's going to be a very interesting thing for our cleric friend to deal with, because he is the cause of that. What you have in your recap, some streaming stuff. Intentionally not a mistake. Yeah, so most of it's just stuff that happened during the session. Just so I can always look back at it and be like, oh, this is the stuff that happened in this session. Very shorthand way. And kind of helps me inform what I need to do for the next session. Helps me just not forget things that happen that I think are important. Why I try to handwrite the recap and then I type out the recap later. So that's 2 times that I look at things that happen in the session. Technically 3 times. So I experience the session running it, and those notes that chicken scratch notes that I make during running, I write the recap, handwrite the recap about as soon as I can, which is usually when I get home from the session. So usually try to the same day, if not the next morning, because sometimes it's late and I'm tired and I don't want to do it. And then I type it up. Usually about now, Monday or Tuesday is usually when I type it up and start the prep process for the next week. And that means I've got plenty of time. I know very well what happened in the last session. I don't forget a lot of stuff. But not as much stuff falls through the cracks, which I like. This is one of the reasons I do it that way. Let's see. Ash discovered evidence of a nearby ley line. Really confluence on the island. Our PCs. And another part here is that what was her name? Elbeth. Elbeth has forgotten husband and Caleb. That's part of the aura and other stuff that's going on. So not good necessarily. Rebuilds the cat shrine. Focuses on the nature spirit aspect to in the protective capabilities of it. That's about it. So that'll be interesting, because so the cat and the Hierophant are gods within this custom setting. The druid Ash does not follow these gods, so totally different. So he's rebuilt the little roadside shrine, but not in a way that has it dedicated to the cat. And learned a little bit more about how religion operates as a manifestation of power in the world by doing so, by interacting with it a little bit more and understands it a little bit more. And let's see, the group meets with Bayfara. The aura of decay. It's more like it's an aura of like secrecy, and there's a slight entropy to it, though. You're not totally wrong. You are partially correct, but really it's more this aura of secrecy and forgetfulness. It's there. It is now kind of accosting the people who live there. So people are passing through in and out of it, and the way that I described it to the PC is sort of as they walk out of the aura, they have that very, very human condition feeling when you walk into a room and you go, I don't remember why I came in here. So they have a lot of those kind of moments where stuff that, like, short-term memories, like, stuff gets zipped out of it. So they meet with Bayfera. Produces gifts. Let's see, provides amnesty for a bit of murder. That's right, that's the people who picked up Basam's corpse on the way back, because they went back first. So they, maybe don't leave a charred corpse in the middle of the road, please. She produces the gifts. The gifts are, they get the silver cloak pin and travel papers, which basically allows them to show people when they're moving around the island that they move under the protection of Bayfera, which is very useful. But she had to make it explicitly clear, it's like, hey, when you're doing this, you can't be doing things like immolating people in the middle of the road. You can't burn people alive in the middle of the road. This isn't going to work. So please stop doing that. It's very bad. They also got to choose a item from her treasury. An item. Treasury. They chose the Shingle of Dulce. Went over this, I think last time when I was doing... Went over this actually in the stream where I was talking about the different types of treasure that I give out. Shingle of Dulce is a magic item. It is a one-time consumable. If you snap it in half, it's actually like a Dragonborn scale. If you snap it in half, it gives you resistance to all types of damage until the end of your next long rest. So it's incredibly powerful. But it's only for one character, and you only get to use it. They had two others they could have chosen from, but they chose that one. They chose the combat specific. I made one that was more social encounter kind of style, and then one that was more of an exploration one. They ended up choosing the combat one. There were no wrong answers. There were no right answers. Just kind of depended on which one they felt like would give them the best benefit. Shingle of Dulce certainly will. They are definitely going to probably give that to Zarnog. Actually, I think Zarnog's got it. I actually wrote it down on an index card and gave it to him. So, should have that. Yep. Okay. So, we produced the gifts. It provides the amnesty for a bit of murder with Basam, Halamuth, and Amina will be in charge. Procuring and I don't even know what you would call that. Compounding, I guess. Compounding the holy water into a topical salve. The topical salve. And this is big boy holy water. So that bold. So they're going to be headed to Pale and Zayartes Mania. And the Apothecary. So Pale is the kind of port town there, Pale Vaporadron. It's just called Pale by most people. So that's kind of the port town. It's the one sizable kind of settlement that's on the island. It's on the south side of the island. major port of the island. It's a bit of a smuggler's island, so it doesn't get as much trade as a normal port town. It's a little bit of a Tortuga thing, but feels very legal adjacent for the most part. The Artes Mania is a big temple that's actually out in the bay on an island by itself. And the apothecary's in Pale. Going to be helping Halamith compound all that holy water into a topical salve. Making it like a suspension, I guess, or an ointment of some type. And the players are basically, the PCs agree to rest overnight, rest the next day. They're trying to get rid of levels of exhaustion right now. Rest the next day. And they will also be recruiting Charles Rogel. So they're awaiting the arrival of Charles Rogel. All right. I think that's pretty much. Oh, They did. That's right. They did do a few other things while they were there. So the group resupplies, buy some items. They're able to do that. Zarnog drops off station at Salma. At the chapel. At Bayfaris Chapel. And Caleb and Salma have a long conversation. So she gives him some sleep time herbal tea. This is to help him try to get over some of his exhaustion. He was originally going there to try to get greater restoration cast on him. And it was like, she is not high enough level to cast anything like greater restoration, so she cannot provide that to you. But she can provide you this sleepy time herbal tea to help you relax and rest. Long conversation about mono-deity worship. And she agrees to help research the rune on his moon pendant, or moonstone pendant. I think that's most of it. I mistakenly wrote down here Ash. That's Caleb. There's evidence of miracles too. I guess just his miracles. Because we say there's the Hierophant aura. There was the thing he did with the cat where he filled in a pond, essentially, or like a lagoon, bayou, maybe a better term, and it was forcefully turned into the bog by a deity, like in real time. So he's had a few of these occurrences where the gods felt sort of like that divine touch come down due to his prayers. Not always in the greatest way possible, just in a very powerful way. Oh, right, and she's going to report to Dateline. Alma to report Keyless Miracles. Which may or may not go well for him. Unlikely. Usually, you know, if you church finds out that people are doing miracles, usually they send an investigation team for that. If you find out people are lying about miracles, that's bad news. Or if you figure out that they determine that maybe that's a power that's not coming from the gods, maybe it's coming from some sort of demon lord or other strange external entity, you know, something bad might happen to you. I think that's on it. Yeah, I should put that here. And this will be left. She believes seen the rune before. Be interesting. Rune, except that she won't have seen that rune before, but it might be similar to something she's seen before. Because the rune is going to be from Wabaneki. Is nowhere close to here. Alright, so that is the recap. Everything on it. You know what? I'll just go ahead and put a break here and we'll just pull next page. That way it's all in one shot. There we go. That was pretty much the last session. A lot of talking, just a little bit of combat, and some walking around. But mostly talking and trying to figure out what they were going to do next. So they're gonna get Charles Rogel. That's their plan. Charles Rogel is an NPC. He is an ex-mercenary now, who kind of, there's been friction between him and the group, but that's probably over now. And honestly, Rogel's probably looking for a paycheck about now, so he's inclined to probably accept them. You heard wrong conversation instead of long conversation. How the hell can a conversation be wrong? It can go wrong. Or you might be referring to the wrong conversation, but no, it was a long conversation. A wrong conversation. Alright, so that's what happened in the last session. I started my music. I have yet to do that. I got busy. Alright, so session 38, we've got an idea of what everything's going to do. So we're going to pick up, it's going to be, if I remember correctly, let me see. I already put in my notes whether they already checked for the long rest. Yes, they already did the long rest. Okay, so we are starting off on Spring Mother 22. Thursday? Yep. Thursday. So I'm going to have them, I didn't change the weather because it wasn't going to be super important in this session. I'm just going to kick it over and we're going to have them wake up with it being kind of unseasonably cool and disastrous. Current stamina is going to be 0. Everybody's going to be good because we're starting up in the morning. Caleb went down to 1 level of exhaustion. Zarnock's down to 2 levels of exhaustion. People bought. They resupplied. I believe Caleb only bought a D4 because I don't think he had enough money to get a D6. Caleb is definitely at the least amount of money out of any of the PCs. I think. Zarnock by far had the most. And I think still has the most. Oh no, I forgot Zarnock had gone up to 4. So he's going to be down to 3. And Ash went up to 1, but he's going to lose that as soon as he finishes his long rest. That's fine. Anything else I wrote down here? Mayfair also agreed to perform some sort of research or help group find a piece of information on their behalf. They have not asked for anything specific yet. That's kind of in the air at this point. With that, see everything. These here. All right. So we're going to be picking up in that session. Let's find out about the other heck. So we're starting at 9. And D8. I rolled a 5. So we're going to go left. So we're going to go to number 8. Copy that. And drop it over here. Over here. You really just change it so it just does that automatically. Alright, so we said it was unseasonably cool, so it's going to be seasonably cool then, just to kind of keep things in line. It's going to be calm, and going to be probably cloudy, rather than foggy. I don't think there's going to be a lot of fog. That'll be our weather. Hey, how you doing, Cutter? I see you. It's going alright. We had a lot of, I've had a lot of difficulties today, but we're doing okay. Hopefully you're doing all right as well. All right, so we can that point of order or foreshadowing. So our stamina's good. Our injuries, no injuries, just the exhaustion, which is going to go down. Rations are all good. And we're going to start off here. All right, so what is the first thing that I think is going to happen? I guess the easiest thing to do is I think I'm going to see if Charles Rogel is going to arrive. Let's make this just normal for right now. Text for right now. Trying to figure out things that are going to happen. Charles Rogel is going to arrive. They are going to rest again. So it's really a day is going to pass while they are hanging out at Bayfares. So really, I just want to know if, like, is anything untoward going to happen during that time? So that could be something that arrives or happens to them while they're there, or it could be something that's happening far afield. So I'm going to kind of roll for both of those. So I think for just something happening there, I'm going to use my nice little roll table. Okay. And change that later. Google does not need to save my stuff. So I roll a d12. Really only anything happens if I roll 12, which is unlikely. Okay, so nothing's going to be happening there. It is market day though. So I will remind them that it is market day. Market day. And because it's market day, in case they want to go down there, no, at least one of them's, I kind of want to give them something to do because one of them, Zarnok's pretty much just going to try to lay in bed and try to use that herbal tea to maybe get himself an extra level of exhaustion gone. So, because he's going to be using that herbal tea, we're going to have to, then so I'll have to give him some sort of check. I guess it'll be a Constitution saving throw to see if he can get that extra level of exhaustion gone, which I know he really wants. Ooh, I rolled pretty low for a DC though. So 3, so that means it's a base of 5 plus another 5, so DC 10 Constitution saving throw. So with his, he gets a +4 to that roll, I think. So he should probably pass that. Probably. I mean, I say that, but you never know. I feel bad because Zarnok's really gotten kicked around a lot this campaign. But it also comes with being a frontline fighter. But also, he's been crit on a bunch. The Grey Oozes, in fact, like crit on him twice in a row. It's been tough. It's been tough for Zarnok. But hey, play the frontline fighter. You take the lumps. That's kind of your job. So that's going to be DC 10. It'll be easy enough. There's going to be a market day. Charles Rogel's going to arrive. So then they're going to have I guess arrives, yeah. So they're going to do that, and then in the morning, they'll rest again, and then in the morning they're going to take off for Bloody Grove. So I knew, like I said last time, I thought they might have this travel to Blighted Grove. They hadn't done that yet. They only regrouped at Bay Ferris last time. But I also didn't get a name for the donkey. I meant to do that last time, and they didn't do that. Since they bought a very, very expensive donkey. They paid top money for that donkey. They should at least give it a name, I feel like. Make it a little bit more personable, and number one, so they'll remember it exists, and number two, in fact, I might make an index card for him. That might be smart. I might make an index card for him. That way we can have a physical thing at the table. Love that part of it. So I want to give each of them kind of something that they can do during the day. Zarnok, I think maybe somebody will come visit Zarnok to talk to him. Maybe. He did express interest in talking to the captain of the guard again, who he had sort of a duel with last time he was at Bay Ferris. So maybe the captain of the guard will come visit him. That might be a good one. That could be a fun thing. Ash might do some crafting. I think he tried to do a little bit of crafting last time, so he might spend the day crafting. They're gonna have basically a day. They're gonna rest again, and then they're gonna take off for the Blighted Grove. And so this stuff's all gonna go down here. That's pretty much gonna do it. Okay. Yeah. You can add new events like a new auction house or a new mystery shop or even a horror house to explore. Yeah, they could give them some stuff. The thing is, like, I don't want to do it too. If I make something too big, then the player who's going to be busy resting because their PCs has like 3 levels of exhaustion. I don't want them to feel like they're left out. Once Charles Rogel arrives, I can just give him Charles Rogel's sheet and be like, "You're playing Charles, playing old Chuck while you're in bed." But I don't want to do something in depth because I don't want to get that FOMO. I don't want the player feeling like they're spending half the session twiddling their thumbs, not actually playing the game. It's also incredibly small spot that they're at. There are not a lot of people who live here. And most of the mechanics are Pathfinder 1E or 2E. How much they'd be compatible with the campaign. Yeah, mechanics wise, eh. Me, who knows nothing, is just talking shit. That's fine too. Alright, so yeah, I think I'll have them wake up in the morning, cool morning with the wind howls, Witcher style, and just buckets of rain coming down, just sheets of rain coming down. Makes sense. They're in a very tropical setting. It's warming up, so maybe starting to get towards monsoon season. So there's a lot of rain in the campaign. Rains a lot. So we'll have that. We'll do the intro description. Maybe that'll be, what's happening during the day. Day at the fair. I like that. I made myself laugh. Live day at the fair. Fun. DC 7. All right. So super low. Bad. That was weird. Anyways, 7. So we'll have in just a few things because again, otherwise there's just nothing going on that day, which is perfectly fine as Dungeon Master if you just want to be like, and you guys rest, and we jump into the next day. But this has kind of been their first moment of downtime for a second. They've been running real hard to do stuff. So I kind of want to give them a minute of kind of like catch their breath. And they need to catch their breath because the stuff coming up once they get to the Blighted Grove is going to be pretty difficult. So I think they should try to give they should figure out what to do with their donkey. Now we've got Zarnok. We're gonna have bed rest. Herbal tea. And we'll make that a con save. Gain extra level of exhaustion. Or exhaustion level. Then we've got Caleb, who's going to be doing something, and we've got Ash. I'm going to put down under Ash and be like crafting. Maybe. That might be something that he's interested in doing. I'm not sure yet. He'll tell me if he is or not. I guess I should use DC 10 and make it across the board. I'd already rolled the DC. Easy. Charles Rogel going to arrive. Caleb is out of money. I almost guaranteed that he's going to want to talk to Salma. Ash is going to be crafting. Ash might want to go to the market. Does seem like a very Ash thing. He also might be just perusing spirit stuff. So I might pick up like a few interesting things we can maybe throw in the market that they might be able to pick up or mess around with. Might go like, 2 to 3 interesting items, or maybe like stalls. Visit. And I've got my market thing in here, my DM binder. It's got like 100 different types, so we can roll those up. We'll have Charles Rogel will arrive. That's gonna be towards the end of the day, and they're gonna in. So Charles is gonna arrive. It's gonna be a bit of a you again situation. They're not on the greatest of terms, but not bad. And then they're gonna be like terms of engagement. We're gonna try to get that contract out because Charles Rogel would need to get paid for his services. And then they'll rest again, and then they'll take off. It'll be like if there's anything in the evening. So this is gonna be kind of a evening at the keep situation. So we'll have kind of a daytime, and then we'll have a nighttime or an evening kind of cycle. I guess we should probably have a DC for this as well. 6, that's 10, DC 11. Okay, we're getting nice easy DCs this time. That's good for them. I like it. We can go ahead and that'll work. I'm gonna rest again, and then the counters question mark. You can give them the NPC sheet, but you can have a social encounter with stakes, so there isn't combat. Yeah, It's fine. I mean, I highly doubt there's going to be combat. They're in a pretty safe and secure location, so it would be pretty weird if they had combat. But it always could happen. Always can happen. Or the character stumbles into a secret or finds a clue in regards to a larger picture of events. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what they might pick up here. They might pick up some information about the giants in the area, maybe. We can take a look at the hex map and see. That's a good thing. Actually, that's a good point. Be like, so that's what we'll do. We'll do item stalls, or we'll say rumors encounter. We'll be like, if anybody's out and about talking and stuff, they're gonna hear stuff. And then under here we'll put the like, hey, do you have rumor here? And then I think the bed rest will have the guard captain. Captain visit, and then we can also put a rumor here. Doesn't mean that necessarily they're going to have all these rumors. There was something I did really early in the campaign is I just kind of shotgunned a lot of rumors at them. A lot of that stuff will like water, like a stone in the river, the water will just go right past them. A lot of those rumors just won't get picked up on. And oftentimes players won't write them down, or even if they write them down, they won't think to go back and look at their notes and like ask anybody else about what's going on. Or circle back to it. Pretty rare for that to happen. And I don't want them, they have a very focused mission right now, so I don't want them to get like super detracted or feel like they're going to move off and look at other stuff. But I can definitely give them some ideas about stuff that's in the area. From the last session of our solo game, you've had enough gambling in D&D for now. Yeah. I mean, they could gamble. And the gambler character is the player who ended up leaving our campaign because they moved. They did gambling, and that was a huge part of their character. Massive part of their character. In fact, it had a lot to do with the fiend bargain that they had made. But yeah, I mean, maybe enough gambling in D&D for now. We're bringing an NPC from the past. Yeah, the big problem about this campaign is that they're not on the mainland, so there's not really. I'm not even sure a lot of people know that they're here, as to who might come out of the woodwork to talk to them a bit. We had a few characters mention some other stuff. We could make him. Yeah, we could do something like. What's the name? The Grey Wolves, I think. Grey Wolves relation. I'll put that down here. So Grey Wolves is the mercenary company that Zarnok's actually a part of. Zarnok is a slave soldier. He is actually an indentured soldier. And part of what he's supposed to be doing is doing these great deeds and getting signatures on a piece of paper that he has. And once he fills that up with enough signatures of basically people who vouch for him, the mercenary company will then give him essentially his freedom, and then give him basically an officer rank within their company. By being like, oh, you've proven that you think on your own, you've been through a bunch of dangerous situations, we can trust you because you're basically, for a long time, were out on your own, and you could have just tried to run away. That could happen too. So, yeah, we could have something about his Grey Wolves. Because Charles Rogel is a mercenary, but he's from the more prominent mercenary company in the world. Kind of like the Jentarum from Forgotten Realms, kind of, not really. It's somewhere in between like the Jentarum and the Flaming Fist, as far as Forgotten Realm is. They're as widespread as the Jentarum, but they operate a little bit more like the Flaming Fist do than the Black Network. So if you're familiar with both of those, that will probably make some sense. If you're not, they're a mercenary company, and they franchise. There's a lot of them out there. They're pretty big. Yeah, you again seems to me they haven't had the best history with the party. Yeah, no, they haven't. In fact, Charles Rogel was trying to get one or more of them arrested at one point. But in doing so, they were able to continue to squirm out of his grasp, and he has thus been decommissioned from his mercenary company. I think it's going to be a surprise. I don't think that Halamith and Amina are going to tell Charles Rogel necessarily who's hired them, or he won't necessarily recognize their names. He would recognize the name of the character who's not here anymore, and the name of the character who is now dead. We've had one character death in the campaign. So those two, who are not part of the active party anymore, he would recognize. But Zarnok and Caleb, he probably doesn't know the names of, though once he sees them, he'll know who they are. He has seen them before. And Ash is new to him. He doesn't really know anything about Ash. But yeah, they do not have the greatest history, so it's going to be an interesting thing down here. So I think when Charles Rowell, like talking to Charles Rowell, might actually have a slightly more difficult DC, because they kind of have to overcome some stuff. All right, so we've got some stuff. What is he going to talk to Salma about? I don't think Salma will have had time to investigate a lot of stuff. So, you know, I'm not gonna pull it up. I'm just going to. Nope, I am gonna look it up because I don't have that folder out. One moment. Find that. Probably in here. Where's the? Yeah, here we go. All right. I just need this one. Go to. So right now, they are exactly where this little reddened hex is. That is Bay Faroes. They're going to go to the Blighted Grove, which is way over here. Means they're going to pass through this area. There are a few things. There's Dassos down there. There's a refugee camp. What is northeast here? We pull stuff from things that are around. Ooh, one of the things I can do is I can give Caleb that information about the locust, which he can share with Ash, the person who talked about the ley line convergence earlier. So that way the two PCs can connect on that. That's probably a good one. I don't know if we have a name for that yet. In fact, this is not. Am I not thinking of the right thing? No, that isn't the central hex. Yeah, that's the Menhir formation, which we don't have a fancy name for. We could think about that. Menhir. That's something we can add in there. So it's going to be a lot of like little scenes, because I assume, as this group tends to do, they tend to not stay together. They scurry to their own corners like little cockroaches when the lights come on. Though Caleb and Ash might go to the market together. I think Caleb will probably talk to Salma, who will get in here formation information. I think the guard captain visit, talking about something about the gray wolves. Is there anything else in the area he might be more concerned with? X-Flower anymore. There is. He is interested in the giants, and there is some giant stuff that's going on. Look at that northwest hex. Yeah, he would. They are somewhat familiar about the giant and elemental battlefield that's going on. I bet you I can give him. I can give him a rumor about the cockatrice warren. Can do that. That seems like a sort of thing he might be interested in. So we'll give him the found people west past the lake. I don't know. Can you even call that a lake? Maybe. I guess we'd call that a lake. I guess we'd call these 2 hexes right here a lake. It's mostly wetland out here, or I don't know. What would you call an inlet like that? I don't know. I don't know if there's I know a good name for hydrology about what this would be, actually. Maybe just like a cove? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So I guess across, we can just say across the open water. So that's something they can check on. And that'll give them an ability to, they can have an encounter with the Darrow that are out there that are hunting the cockatrices. They can, they can get petrified or deal with that, or maybe they can figure out somebody to unpetrify. Might be fun. Right now, that's what we got. And yeah, Grey Wolves relation. You know what? I'm gonna pull up about doing it. I'm gonna pull up the Solo Dark T100 table, and we'll do that to see if I get anything interesting. 80 and 90. Well, that makes it easy. 80. Hint. All right. Hint of order. Hint of order. Hint of order. Order. Done here. No, I've got that all open. That's fine. Hint of order. Making me think. Player character notes. There we go. Swain. Swain is Druid. Oh, right click for that. Do that, and we'll do breakthrough. Swain is no longer in the campaign. Niz is maybe will come back at some point. Another player that just kind of got busy and hasn't been playing with us a while. There's Zarnok. There's Ash. Severin pretty strong. Ash and Dream. Let's see. He's got his. See if we got something down here. So he has his older brother, who's also in the Grey Wolves. So I don't know why they would be on the island for any reason. Yeah, Zarnok has a whole bunch of family. You know what? There's some pretty cool stuff up here. I don't think that we have. We don't have any hermits up here. We only have like one or two, we only have a few hermits out here. Who's in the far southeast? Oh, that's Milo. What is the? I'm trying to think of the one. I don't know if any of these would really pull Zarnok's interest, and none of them super align with. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I can double down. So we'll drop the Grey Wolves thing, but we can bring in part of Zarnok's family, who runs a butcher shop. So we can pull that aspect in. The other thing is that increase and a delicacy and would be well received by his family to sell in the shop. So if he's interested in doing that, he can go. Gives him a reason to go after that. With the nose. All right, so that's pretty good. I think that's enough for Zarnok. He'll have this guard captain. I'm sure he's going to ask the guard captain's name and information about him. I don't think I came up with any information last time. I think we just kind of did a sparring match just to have it. I don't even know if I gave this guard captain any ancestry or any information whatsoever. But we're coming back to him. So you come back to an NPC a second time, or ask about the NPC again. I should probably add a little bit more information about them. You have a suggestion from the king. He asked if it could be named Pretty Place. Oh, the Menhirs? Yeah. I'm sure Daylin knows the name of it. I'm not sure anybody on the island know of it. Might just be called the Old Stones, honestly. These are quite ancient. So I gotta make up some stuff about the guard captain. So the easiest way to do that is to roll for their ancestry. D100 roll. Check. Now, as is always the case, anytime that I need to find this one specific sheet, I'll never be able to find it. I don't know why this sheet always eludes me, but it does every single time. I believe. It is indeed. Found it. Great. That took less time than usual. 35. Gotcha. Male half elf. Easy peasy. Male half elf. Let's I'm going to pull up Xanathar's Guide to Everything, so that way we can do another D100 and give this fool a name. 94. Lieb. I'd probably. I'll roll a d6. 1. Check. Bit of a string bean. Yep. Fine. So tall, or thin. Roll again, see if I'm better than that. Sure. Which one? This guy's gonna have some sort of tattoo. Former slave tattoo? Freedman tattoo? I like that idea, so I'm gonna say yeah. Yeah, alright. Alright, so it'll be a little bit of a bonding experience, yeah. So we'll have a Freedman tattoo. We'll say tall and lanky. And you know what, just for fun, because I'm sure if he shows off his slave tattoo to Zarnok, Zarnok's going to ask him something about history, and I don't know what that is. See if this gives me anything. 19 would be obstruct. Obstruct connection. Maybe that, you know, it's something that he tries to he tries to hide. He's very much hiding this fact. I guess that probably shouldn't be capitalized. Okay. That is a little bit of, hey, we can have this. They can have a thing. They can talk about that. Caleb's going to talk to Salma. He's going to tell him about the Min here formation. Toilet. I guess, you know, I have that D66 table, so let's see if they come up with a better adjective kind of descriptor for that place. Probably not. 45. There. Function, industry, or job. I guess maybe we just call it Power Stones. Power Stones. They're so bad. I love it. Yeah, I don't know if Salma's gonna have any other information for Caleb. Maybe not. It might just be like a quick tete-a-tete. Otherwise, she'll try to do a research. You know what? We'll give her a little research check real quick. How about this? You know, just saying maybe I should give her disadvantage because she's just starting out. She will have literally had like less than a day to work on it. Actually, not even that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give her disadvantage. Didn't matter anyways. All right. She failed anyways. It's a DC 15. All right, she failed. Yeah. Because I'm gonna have a question. I know that based off of this information, Caleb's going to already go and talk to Ash and Dream, because of the Minhir formation, the Power Stones. Ash knows that there is a confluence, leyline confluence nearby. Power Stones. So they're probably going to put 2 and 2 together on that, and if capable that they will do that. And one or the other is going to figure out, oh, those two things go together. Those are 2 puzzle pieces that fit together. So if we put down that the rune that she thinks it might be giant, thinks they might be giants. Yeah, we'll leave it as giant related. Ash speaks giant, so Ash knows giant. And I know for certain that I don't think that Caleb has showed the Moonstone pendant to him. So if they do that, it's not going to be giant, but that's okay. Like I said, it's from Wabaneki, which is neither Either one of them are from, you know, Ash knows Giant and would be the closest person to know anything about Wabaneki, or would be the person who has the best chance at understanding that it might be Wabaneki. And we'll just say Wabaneki rune, which is from the western continent. That's Wabaneki. But Ash is from the eastern continent. So while he is an elf, and a good portion of Wabaneki's historical languages and culture are Elvish, probably very different. It's kind of like going to the other side of the world and being like, oh, we're both humans, but we're very, very different. Same sort of situation. Our language and writing is totally different. So there is a chance there. I don't know if he's going to be crafting. Maybe, maybe not. Otherwise, they're going to go to the market, which might be Ash and Caleb. Might just be Caleb. You know what? I'm going to break this out and do it like its own thing. Shopping. Market. And we'll have a DC for that. The using new DC. Wow, real low DCs today, which is great for them. It's gonna be way easy for them. Almost. Looking at the shopping, we're gonna give them 2 or 3 different interesting things that they can encounter here. I don't want them to waste too much time, but let's do that. So, like I said, I have these shops. 1 D100 shops and market stalls. I also have my D100 NPC, so if I roll a shop or a market I don't like, I'll look on the NPC card and see. They work in tandem, which is good because they're on the front and back side of each page. Same page. 37. So some sort of forage. So this is somebody who is picking up stuff in the wild and selling bad, like mushrooms and nuts and all sorts of stuff. I don't hate that. As a guilder, it's like a craftsman, generic craftsman. Let's go with a forager. So because they're a forager, that means that they're out and about and they've probably seen a lot of stuff. You know what? I wanted a reason to bring them up. I'm going to bring up the Lost Modrons. They are to the northwest for sure. Yeah, they're this guy up here. They're kind of, they're about north-ish from here. South of Dragon Skull, which I'm sure will bring more questions from them. What do you mean Dragon Skull? Oh, there's a big Dragon Skull out there. So if you've hit the Dragon Skull, you've gone too far north. Sold a bunch of plants to a perfume maker. So this is a callback to something that happened very, very early on in the campaign. So very, very early on in the campaign, they came across a random Warforged, an automaton that was stuck in the mud of the marsh. And they got him out, and they found out, they talked to him a little bit. He was a perfume maker, and he told them how to reach him. Now, Swain was the person who ended up with those instructions, so they are gone with Swain. He gave them a little itinerary, like a literal piece of paper that I made that wrote on. It'd be like, here's the list that he gives you on how to get to the place where he's going to be. So this is a callback to him, and I don't have his name. After that, I think it's on the way. You know what? I should just look for perfume. There he is. This was session 9, so almost 30 sessions ago. A verdigreed automaton perfumer with a floppy sun hat and peddler's chest backpack. Tonda was his name. Is his name. To a rusty automaton. Floppy sun hat. He was brewing perfumes. A little call back to that. So they know if they want to go visit him for whatever reason, they can. Just to bring that up. Alright, so that's one thing. Here's the second thing. So let's roll them. 26. A cobbler is kind of boring. Is a flesh peddler of some type, a courtesan, prostitute, brothel owner, or something. I don't think that there's probably a brothel here. It's not a very large place, so probably not a huge cause for a brothel. I think maybe it's somebody who's maybe it's like an actor troupe. Maybe they have like a traveling brothel. They are friends with one prostitute. Sorry, courtesan. She's fancy. She's a fancy prostitute named Pearl. So they are familiar with the kind of the one notable prostitute, as far as I know, that's on the island, Pearl. We could do that. I would see. Sometimes if I do that and I don't necessarily love the result, I'll just do the end. Let's see if we get something else. I think I could do something with that, but I think that's going to take a little bit of work. So let's see if there's something else that's interesting. Ooh, actually, no, I have something that would work for that, but let's see what else we got. 62 is a gambler. You know. As Anne said, we've had enough gambling for a moment, and we just got rid of our PC who did gambling. And if more time had passed, I would bring up this person as a way to, I mean, I still could. As a way that Swain's like steal luck functioned. Because that's one of the things that his fiendish bargain did, is that whenever he beat somebody in gambling, he was literally stealing their luck through demonic magic. And so lots of bad stuff happened to people that he would win against gambling. Like, they would end up dead sometimes. Or, you know, one guy got the snot kicked out of him, got beat up real bad. 62 over here. A matchmaker or solicitor. If Beefcake was out and about, if Zarnok was out and about, I'd be more inclined to do the matchmaker, because that's what the festival was a little bit about, so I think people would be more interested in that. So I think I'm going to go with the The traveling troupe of prostitutes. That sounds like a fun one. I like that. Of painted women. I think, and painted men too. I assume it's primarily women. Let me look at the island map real quick, because I know the spot nearby. Is it nearby? Yes. 12, 13. Oh, alright, so that's just northeast of here. Nice. Yeah, so there is this Pegasus watering hole, which I think this can be a little thing where this group of people are interested in maybe getting some Pegasi feathers or Pegasus feathers, or some of their outfit. Kind of like zhuzh it up a little bit. So, and obviously the Pegasus is a celestial creature, so it's going to have a little bit of magic to it inherently. So I think they'll be in that, or maybe maybe they just want some of their horse hair and feathers, probably. Ooh, yeah, that's dumb. Yeah, obviously they want the Pegasus tail. That's obviously what they want. They want the Pegasus tail. Let's say for makeup brushes. I like that. They did application of makeup, so they use it for like makeup brushes. I like that. Let's go with that. I'm just gonna say it's the horror troop. Hey, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, I think we'll go. It's my game. I can be as crude as I want to. I'll call it the horror troop. Why not? So they are seeking out nearby rumors of. I guess that's in the area. I guess I think it's in the area. I guess so. They want to acquire essentially their hair or makeup brushes. That'll be another fun one for us to drop in there. I need some sort of name for this. I can call it the Blushers Caravan. This way, and then we. Obviously, they're not much of adventurers, so they would be interested in having somebody acquire these items for them. Adventurers would be up to the task, and let's do one more. We'll drop in one more. D100 roll. Bam, 53. 3. What's 53? I closed my binder. 3. A locksmith. I was gonna roll again. Look at the NPCs. 53. Harbor master or gate captain. We already have the captain of the guard, so we don't want to do that. Locksmith is interesting. I don't know if the locksmith would have anything to tell us about stuff recently. This could be one of those, like, straight up there's something going on around town. This might actually be interesting. Because currently, I don't think that there is, since we lost Swain, our artificer, I don't think that there is anybody in the party who has Thieves' Tools proficiency. I'm gonna roll on my D100, kind of like spark chart. I got an idea that maybe there's like a rampant thief that's going on, so maybe there's a little something they can try to foil within Bayfar's keep. That would be fun. We've already established now that there is a treasury that she has, so trying to prevent that from being stolen. Maybe. Would be resist wealth. It could be they come across the scene where they kind of get into an argument with the locksmith and kind of stomp off, and as they do that, the person would be like, oh, they were trying to buy thieves' tools from me or trying to get locks to these keys, but they know that I can't give those to them. And maybe there's this idea. So maybe it's just a thing that's like, nah, they can either run, tell it back to Bayfera, or maybe this is a little overnight thing. I like that. Give them a little overnight thing to do. That might be fun for those who don't really need to. Like, Ash is going to have... Actually, this is a perfect one for Ash, because Ash not only doesn't have any levels of exhaustion, so, and he's an elf, which means he doesn't need to sleep. So he'll be up most of the night anyway, so he can keep watch. That's actually a terrible thing for him, too. Alright. I'm down with that. I like that. Locksmith. Customer. Off. To buy beans. These tools. To blocks within Bayfera's keep. Put it that way. So maybe we keep it a little vague as to where in the keep. Now we do know so PCs know there is a treasury because they got one of the items out of the treasury as a reward for their last adventure. Last little leg of their adventure. Still the same adventure ongoing. Good. We can give them like a few different areas they were asking for. So maybe they were, they were interested in the, let's say, the armory, treasury. Actually, I guess that would probably be more of a chancery. Fine. That's just me being silly. Me just where they hold the money, where the term chancellor comes from. Person who's in charge of the money, but the household money is different than the estates or manors. It doesn't matter. Just me being weird about history stuff. We need another location that they might. Now, the most obvious would be Bayfera's personal quarters. Someone, This is DM binder number 2. Binder number 1. This one's for running at the table. DM binder number 2. This is for making adventures. I just grabbed this one because it has my dungeon creation information in it, which has a roll table for types of rooms. It would be really useful in this aspect. And where are they at? Chamber types. Here we go. I was silly. It's 2 pages. I was not focused on that at the time. Right, let's roll twice. See if we can slam them together. If we can't slam them together, we'll just choose whichever one wins best. 13 and 18. Private suite, so that would probably be Bayfaris. Or 18, the baths, latrine, or medical area. Yeah, I think it could be like a private bath. It probably locks. That makes sense to me. Sure, let's go for it. What do they want in there? I have no clue. But I believe that I will be able to improv that. It's likely soaps or oils, something like that. Aromatics, something of that type. Okay. Got that. So we kind of give them 3 different areas, so 3 ways that places they might want to keep an eye on. And there's private bath. We can give that a little bit of like overnight if we wanted to, so we could actually drop in here and be like, oh, here's a little overnight. Just to drop in like a little fun overnight adventure. Again, like I don't need any of this stuff done for like tomorrow. I've got plenty of prep time. I've got a whole nother, not this week, not next week, but the week after. So I got like a whole full another 2 weeks I can work on this prep. So I'm doing lots. I'm glad that I am not bitten often by the bug of procrastination. So I'm doing my prep way ahead of time, which is perfectly fine. I love doing prep way ahead of the time, because then it also gives me the ability to be like, and actually I thought about that for a while and I can go back and change stuff if I want to. So overnight would be the DC for that. Okay, so that's going to be a DC 16. Nice. Sneak thief. So the question is like, if they didn't get keys or thieves tools, how do you get into those locations? Steal things. Like not only what do they want, which is of kind of lesser importance, but really like that they're doing it and how they're going to do it. So I think some of these, obviously the armory doesn't. Unlikely that the chancery does. But the private bath might have a window. If it's up high, it might have a window, which means probably climbing in through the window. Tiptoe through the window. That can kind of give them an idea of like maybe which way they're going to go. And so I probably need to sit down, and I'll probably do that this week, and sketch out kind of what the interior of the keep might look like. Give it a few different rooms. We know that there's a hall in it. We know that there's some sort of like stabling place. We know that there's a rat house or a little barracks area kind of thing. But that's really all we know about the keep itself. So there's probably some other stuff going on. This will be a good opportunity to kind of flesh some of that out if they want to hang out more here, which they may or may not. It's one of the few nobles that seems to kind of like them, so it might be in that. She's also offered them hospitality as a reward for the previous adventure and efforts on this current adventure, I should say. And as part of that, they can kind of stay there whenever they want to, within reason. They don't overstay your welcome. But they do have sort of a safe place that they can land if they want to. So I think the sneak thief will probably came in through the bathroom window. Sneak through the and through. Yeah, I think this will be fun. Like, I'll probably take it and I'll make like a little node map, and I'll probably write it like physically down on like my little flip mat, and have the connection points between things, and be like, okay, where are you guys at? You guys move to this different area, and then I will just in my head secretly track, probably plan out where the thief is trying to get to, where, and the route they're using. If you run across them, I have an encounter with them. If not, maybe they get their things, maybe they don't. They're gonna have to figure out a way to get into those two other areas, which probably means lucky they go in through Farrah's private bath window, because that means that gives them the opportunity to sneak around and probably steal her keys. They sneak into her chamber, though it doesn't seem to be what they're after. Not after sort of like personal jewelry or anything of that nature. After things that would be in the armory or the chancery. So maybe hard money, maybe something else. Hard to know. All right. So we're gonna call this Padfoot in the night. All right. This is a good knock it out. By the way, this is probably way more than we'll get through an entire session of, and knowing that they tend to go a little bit slowly. So we probably won't even get down here to the little travel to the Blighted Grove, but this is a bit of a, not only a pacing break, because they've been going pretty much at like breakneck speed. We want to give them a moment to catch their breath, which is what they're doing. They get this, get like some of their exhaustion back, recoup some of that, as well as kind of things have been really serious. We've been talking about a blight that's threatening the island. They've stopped, basically a genocide, indigenous population. They've been doing that. So this is going to be a little bit of a like break and be like, here's some kind of silly stuff that's going on. Oh, the Blushers Caravan, like these prostitutes want Pegasi hair for their makeup brushes. You have, I met this weird automaton with a floppy hat in the marsh. And now you have this person who's like sneaking into there. That'll be fun. Like, what if they're in here for very silly reasons? Maybe this is like a straight up like underwear thief. Maybe we can make this a little bit weird, a little bit just silly. Just to give them a little bit of a tone break, because the moment they start going off to travel to the Blighted Grove, things are going to get real serious real quick. This can be a nice tone break for us. So if we make it like they're looking for some silly stuff that doesn't maybe make sense, so maybe we swap out the armory and the chancery. I'll probably keep the chancery like the treasury, but maybe they're looking for some very silly things. They're not necessarily looking for like a lot of money or something like that. So we're gonna think about that for a moment. I'm gonna come back and then I think we're good to do the intro description for this session. So I'd like to do like a little. I don't do it every time. I don't think I did it for this last session. I didn't. But I do sometimes like to do it where I have this point of order where I'm like, oh, here's the stuff that's going on. Sometimes I'll write it out as an actual thing like this, like an actual like little sentence of description, and be like, hey, here's where we are, here's where we're picking up on the session. So we're gonna jump back in, and I'm gonna write that for session 38 because I think we're at a good spot to do that. But I'm gonna get some more coffee, so you guys hang out for a minute, and I'll be back here in just a second. All right. They have returned. All right. So I realized while I was making my coffee, I was like, oh right, I still need to answer my Druid player. They had a question that they had sent me a private message about their something they were thinking about doing with their character. I was like, oh right, I've done a weird thing here where I've prepped some stuff and I haven't actually done anything that would be helpful for them. Mainly because I was trying not to lead them towards an answer, but it would be helpful if they found somebody to actually talk to. Because right now they know they need to go to the Blighted Grove, and they know they need to deal with the giant wisteria tree that's there. That's the thumbnail for this video. But in doing so, they don't know how to deal with that because they know they can't really light it on fire because lighting it on fire actually makes the spores worse. Will send a bunch of the spores off into the air, which makes the blight worse. They need a way to deal with it that's not that, and I'm sure that they will probably want to ask somebody about that. Now I'm trying to think of who they might ask here. I don't think that there's gonna be anybody here. Gonna know. Map. They could ask the Darrow. That would actually be a pretty good idea. I don't think. Let me double check, but I don't think Pegasus can talk. Can they? Like cannot speak. Okay. And our druid does not have speak with animals. Has speak with plants, but not speak with animals. But in addition to the things that I have, I can give them some ideas about. Each individual one can get a lead on that if that's where they want to go. Especially since I think there's enough that we've got in this session, and I know that they're going to be here for a little bit because they need to rest those exhaustion levels, that I don't have to worry about them getting in front of the prep that much. If they decide they want to run an audible instead of traveling directly to the Blighted Grove, they're like, we want to go chase down some of this information leads to see if we can get some more info about how to deal with this. But there are a number of fey creatures in the area which might be helpful to talk to. This does appear to have a somewhat fey tinge to it. And it is quite... So I think we can add some of these people down. Ash spent some of his... So I think what we can do... let me ask it this way. I was going to ask it yes, no questions like, does the guard captain know anything about the Darrow that are in the area? But maybe like, instead it's more like, how much do they know about him? 9. Okay, so he knows... Because Darrow... pull up. One thing is I've got some Darrow mini. No, you're not going to show me photo with them? Get a little icon? Oh, they're there. Ah, they're funky looking little guys. They're kind of like little gnomes. Kind of. They might know something about it. Because these are the people who are out there trying to hunt cockatrices. So they might know something. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Yeah, so, we're going to say that in addition to finding the petrified people, Oh, well, do the petrified people include Darrow? That's probably likely. Yeah, they found one or two of those. Okay, perfect. Does this guy even know what a Darrow is? Yes. Okay. Strange heifer-like creatures. I guess he's gonna think that they dwell in caves, but they're really from like an underdark situation. So, that's what I'm trying to do. We'll put the flip tab. Possibly know something about how to deal with light. They possibly know about that. Just kind of give them like, hey, if you guys want to track down leads, there's this opportunity for you to track down leads, or you can just go, fuck it, we'll do it live, and we'll just show up and we'll murder a tree and figure it out as we do it. On the job experience, on the job training. Talking to Salma, probably not going to come up with anything here, I don't think. I think the thing that I can add in here is that someone knows they are giant in orange. The Power Stone's giant. We've already seen that the giants have these totems or stelae or other kinds of like menhirs or obelisks, standing stones that have been around for a long time because they are very old. The giants are very old on the island, older than people, I think. So I think the blushers things are. They also know of a satyr encampment. Encampment to the north. Has a clue or dealing with tree. I don't think the locksmith's gonna know anything about that. That doesn't really make any sense to me. But I think the Blushers Caravan might know stuff. They travel a lot of places. They'll know a lot of things. It does seem like given they're in, let's say, the entertainment industry, that they are quite familiar with satyrs. Those satyrs are hanging out. They're right here. I think part is correctly. Yeah, the Fae survival shelter. So there's 1 in 8 chance that there's satyrs there. So it's pretty rare that they're there, but they might be. Not they might find some other place. There are quite a few Fae things that are up in this area, and one of the things that's hidden from the group, because they haven't really spent a ton of time up here, is that the shelter, there is a thin part. The meniscus is thin, the layer, their film is thin between the planes here, between prime material plane and what in D&D we call the Feywild. So you do have things that are kind of around here. You have the pseudo dragons and the cockatrices, and you have all these kind of bizarre creatures that are up here. The Fey, satyrs, and stuff like that. They could fall down that rabbit hole. This ties in the Power Stones. This being giant in origin is a clue that they probably won't recognize, but I'm going to put it in there anyways. It's a very subtle clue that, oh, these are giant, the Power Stones are giant in origin. They clue the Maragon Gate where they have encountered areas that are giant in size, as in built for giants. Because two places are connected. So yeah, now it gives them a little bit of ability to like, they can get some clues about stuff that's important that they could actually track down for the adventure they're doing, or if they just want to screw around, or they just want information for a side quest, like getting the Pegasus hair or anything like that. They can do either one. They can take it or leave it or whatever. And that's all the work I need to do for that at this moment. I just need to put the bait on the hook. If they decide to take that adventure hook and go after one of those things, there should be enough in this session that I won't need to worry about that until I'm prepping for the next session. Because we can look at this and be like, okay, got Dig at the Farah, which means we have something for Zarnok, Caleb, and Ash. That's 3 kind of micro scenes, plus the shopping or market scene, which in itself has 3 potential more scenes, plus Evening at the Keep, which is Charles Ruggles' arrival, and then potentially Padfoot's in the night. That gives us 8 potential scenes for one game of D&D. Now, those scenes, a lot of those scenes should be relatively quick, mainly because there's only like 1 PC in them. But we do know that one scene takes about 45 minutes for 4 PCs. Fewer PCs, they go faster. So we have Evening at the Keep, which will be everybody's involved in that scene. But then we've got 6 of these kind of micro scenes. So if you want to go like 1, 2, 3 would probably be a scene plus. I'd probably say a scene and a half if they're doing it individually. It will just take longer. It always does. And then 3 more scenes, which equals a scene and a half. So 3 scenes, 4 scenes gets us the Evening at the Keep. 5 would get us Padfoot's in the night. That's more than enough for what is going to be like a 3.5 of about a 3.5 hour D&D session. More than enough. Because what is that? I feel like I always forget this. Four divided by 0.75. No, 785. 5. Yeah. So you need about 5 scenes, which is pretty much what we got. Though honestly, I will be surprised if they make it past here. We'll probably end with them after Charles Ruggles arrives. Me knowing that my group plays a little bit slower, and plus they might talk to each other and they might do a lot of things. There's a lot of like question and answer things they might want to do, circling back up with each other, sharing information, doing stuff. So probably not really any combat in this one. So that's how it goes sometimes. Now, I could come up with something. I really don't have anything for Ash in the morning. I feel like I should, just in case they decide they don't want to do crafting. There's something else they might do Ash-related in the morning. Oh, very good question. I know you can't see it. I'm going to go look at that private message they sent me. See if there's something I can pull out real quick to work on that. What? Sacrificing your wildfire spirit to the thematically, magically, dramatically, taking the spores of the wisteria tree and sort of thinking about officially becoming, as their subclass, a circle of spores druid, which very on tone thematically for what's happening with the game. You got a whole bunch of blight going on. It goes through spores. Very much that. Maybe there's something I could do. Yeah, maybe something with like fallen spirits. Yeah, I think that's kind of like a proof of concept for him. Maybe we could do something like that. I like that. Because that'll be a wake up in the morning, so that means that I'll probably start with Ash. Ash will already be awake. Pollen spirits. We'll do this as like proof of concept. Or I like that. I think that will work. All right, so Charles Rogel, we can do his terms of engagement real quick. So his asking price will be, gone over this before, but yes, I have a handy dandy little chart that I use for how do you pay people you hire, NPCs you hire. Now, this is my stuff, so it's not raw by any stretch of the imagination. But Cleave's what I would say very close to what raw rules are as far as how much you pay unskilled versus skilled labor. So mine goes with, there's unskilled labor, skilled labor, and expert labor. Charles Rogel would definitely fall under, I think, skilled labor. He's not unskilled. He is definitely trained. He'll essentially probably be a guard stat block. Probably what I'm going to build him off of. I'll see if there's another one that's maybe more appropriate, but he's probably going to be built off of a guard stat block to make him a sidekick for them. So that means he starts out at 2 gold a day for his services. He makes pretty okay money. So, if you want to take him on adventure, that requires hazard pay. Well, you're hiring him for those things. You definitely want him to fight and potentially bleed for you. So that means that it's a ×2 multiplier. So it's 4 a day. 4 gold a day. He will also be supplying his own private kit because the group does not have to outfit him. Unless they want to, but I can't imagine they want to. Which means he gets another multiplier. Which means that he gets he gets 8 gold a day. And he gets a 10% jobber's cut, which is pretty standard adventuring fare. Which means that he gets 10% of whatever treasure they come across. So he doesn't get a full share. There's 3 of them, so they would all get 33%. But if you have to remove 10%, that's 3 of 90, so they each get 30% of the loot, and he gets 10%. Notice that, like, if you want to hire a bunch of hirelings, they all get that 10% jobber's cut. They share all that 10%. So it's actually worthwhile if you're going to do that, to spend more. But again, they still have the daily wage on top of it. So if you were going to hire 5 Charles Rogel, you'd be paying them 40 gold a day, plus the 10% payout of whatever treasure or loot you find. Is it useful to bring a lot of people with you? Yes. Now, obviously, if there is nothing that you're doing in the adventure that takes in treasure, there's no jobber's cut. So if you want to hire... This happened like when they hired boatmen to take them to a place, like guides and boatmen and stuff like that. Like, those people aren't actually part of the adventure, so you just pay them for their time. That's it. So you would just get them... Like, they're bringing their own boat, so they get that, plus their time, plus their skilled labor. Now, in that case, if you're hiring a guide, you might consider that expert knowledge. At which point, they actually start off at 4 gold a day. So it's really expensive to get a guide, but it's less expensive than getting lost, which is definitely a thing that's happened to this party before. So they have learned a little bit and been like, we should probably hire guides. Unless we know where we're going. Now, luckily, when they're going to the Blighted Grove, they've already been there. They can get back there. Zarnok and Caleb have both been there. Ash has not been there. Ash was busy doing other stuff. So the terms of engagement is going to be 2G by this. 2G for skilled labor. You know what? I should probably just put the total. It's going to be 8G. Skilled labor, private kit, plus hazard pay. So if you wanted to hire somebody who is like a porter or a torchbearer or something like that, that's unskilled labor. So that's 1 gold a day. Not really any private kit you need them to bring with them, but if you're not going to pay for like their food and stuff like that and their camping supplies, then that they need to get that stuff, then that would be private kit. So if you want to hire somebody and have them stay with you for a long time, it actually behooves you in the long run to buy their kit and maintain their gear. Get them backpacks and torches and tents and bedrolls and stuff, because in the long term it will be cheaper for you. But for people you're only having around for a few days, usually better to have them just bring what might be like 50 gold worth of gear with them. In Charles Rogel's instance, he's probably going to come with chainmail, so that's like 50 gold off the top right there. Plus a shield, and I think he's got a spear, if I remember correctly. I'll have to go back and look. Yeah. So, I mean, unless you want to pay for all that stuff up front. And then you have the very hard task of trying to convince somebody to get in a fight with you if you're not going to give him armor and weapons. So he's probably not going to do that. Which means he would refuse the hazard pay. Alright, so that's going to be 10%, then he's going to get the 10% dropper. Okay. Now, the bad part is, for Charles, good part for our group, is that they have gotten most of the treasure out of this adventure location already. So there's not a ton they'll have to pay out to Charles for his jobber's cut. I guess. Hold on. But yeah, it is expensive to hire people. This is why you really want more people in your party and not NPCs. Now you start to see, like, this is very OSR, old school D&D adjacent. You'd be like, now you understand why D&D parties, one of the reasons why D&D parties are so big, because otherwise you got to pay people, because the hireling rules are in old school D&D are kind of close to this. It's really expensive to hire people for you. And then you have to like maintain their loyalty and stuff like that. I'm not as concerned about that in a game like this. If we were doing a different kind of game, probably I would have stuff for that, but like morale and loyalty, but not so much here. I mean, we'll use morale because I always tend to use morale. Probably not going to have to deal with loyalty unless they just really treat Charles Rogel like crap. Not going to run away. He's not really that kind of guy. Okay, well, I'm trying to think. Like, obviously, I think one of the things that I'm going to do next time we stream is I'll build Charles Rogel. That's one of the things that I'm planning on doing. For that, I'm trying to think of things that we could do. We have a little bit of time remaining, so I'm trying to think of things that we could do relatively quickly. So I think, without getting like too in the weeds, because I feel like if I start something else, I said we were going to do the intro, and I haven't done that. Let's do that. That should take care of it. Otherwise, I was going to be like, we can make the layout for the keep. But that's still probably going to take me a little bit. I tend to noodle around with that stuff a little bit longer than I probably should. All right. I was going to say the group awakes, but I'll start with the group awakes, even though one of them's already awake because they're an elf. The howl, heavy winds, doesn't keep to groan as sheets of rain hammer against its walls. The outside. We'll say in the early hours before dawn. The temperature begin to drop. And oh man, I just looked at the word for this yesterday. Gosh, what is the name of that? I'm just petrichor. There we go, petrichor. Beyond the walls. You can see people crossing the mud. We'll say crisscrossing. For the flea market. Market day. So it's raining like a mother, but we're still gonna have a market day because we only get 1 week. So we'll just say setup. A little wordy. All right. So in the early hours before dawn, Ash feels the temperature begin to drop, and the smell of petrichor fills the air. That is that fresh, earthy smell right before rain, or before a storm. That's called petrichor. This is a cool new word that I'd heard that word before, but I don't think I ever realized that's what it was. The rest of the group awakes to the howl of heavy winds, causing the keep to groan as sheets of rain hammer against its exterior. Hammer its. Beyond the walls, you see bundled people crisscrossing the mud as they set up for the weekly market day. Perfect. Yeah. They won't have to make any rations checks. I've already marked off their exhaustion for the day. They won't have any stamina put out. they're good there. We'll have Day at the Fair. First off is what plans donkey? And are they going to give the donkey a name? Zarnak, I assume, is going to be taking the bed rest, and we're gonna do Ash first. Yeah, well, I guess after the donkey. I'll let the donkey lead because I meant to do this last time and I didn't. Then we'll hop over to Ash and talk about he sees these pollen spirits. They're gonna be. I assume that the pollen spirits always jump to my mind. Like the guys from Zelda. Stupid little forest guys. I can't think of their names right now. Those little guys, little forest spirits. There's gonna be like little pollen spirits, and that'll give Ash the opportunity to do his proof of concept for the Circle of Spores, which will probably involve setting them alight and then trying to intake them into his body, I assume. Then we'll see, if he's going to continue crafting or not for the day. I want to lead with being like, hey, remember it's a market day in case they decide they want to go to the market. Because that will probably determine whether he wants to do crafting or not. And I'll just add a little note here. So that's disadvantage if wants time to visit the market. Otherwise, if he wants to take the full day to do it, he can do a full day of crafting. At which point, the market stuff might not come up at all. Zarnak, who's going to be busy in bed, assuming still getting bed rest, tell him that someone delivered herbal tea later that last evening, and he has the ability, if he downs all this herbal tea, to try to, as long as he doesn't get up and like move around, if he just tries to sleep basically the entire day, you can get a con save to regain extra exhaustion level. That DC 10 makes it. During that time, the guard captain will come to visit. This is Talib, and tall and lanky half-elf male with he's coming in to talk about that. He'll show off his tattoo after they talk a little bit. Just coming in to kind of like check on him. Probably a little bit of light razzing as far as like, hey, I didn't realize I beat you up so bad during our last sparring. Ha 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 ha, that sort of thing. We'll talk about, things are going for me. We've been finding these reports and petrified people that are across the open water to the northwest. Every once in a while, they include these strange, small, halfer-like people that dwell in caves called Darrow. Sherlock may or may not ask them if they know anything. Like, maybe they know something about this blight thing that you guys have been working on. Maybe they don't. I should probably say that chicken-like tracks. I'll give him enough info to know that that's probably the cockatrice. And Zarnak will know the cockatrice is a delicacy and would be well received by his family to sell in their shop if he decides they want to make a little side quest where they go and hunt it down and maybe package it up and send it off to his family, who's back on the peninsula, back on the mainland. Then we can hop over to Caleb. Caleb will more than likely go and talk to Salma. He might do some other stuff. I'm not sure. He might have some other things on his mind. But he'll probably try to talk to Salma. Salma will be like, I think the rune's giant related, but it's still going to take me a lot more time to kind of investigate it. I really need to reference it with some things. You also will let them know about, like, oh, you know, if you're looking for other giant related things, that there is the Menhir formation nearby the southeast. Power stones. And I know they're giant in origin. I think maybe that's where. We'll just go ahead and have that. Yeah. Give them a reason to talk about that, which will probably lead them to circling back to Ash, and then Ash and Caleb can have that discussion, and then I think at that point they may or may not go off to the market. They go off to the market and be like, oh, here, things kind of stick out to you. You guys bought most of your resupply yesterday, so I assume there's not going to be a lot of just generic shopping. Like, oh, you talk to, I'll probably have them roll. Oh, the first thing you come across is the forager. And you talk to them, you know, they're selling like mushrooms and cattails and other sort of marshmallow and stuff like that. Oh, well, you know, I came across this weird group of automatons, and I sold a bunch of plants to this rusty automaton and a floppy sun hat. Said he was brewing perfumes, and they're gonna know that that's Tonda. They're gonna recognize that. I'd say I should probably change this to verdigreed. Verdigris is just the green stuff that happens with copper and bronze, because he's not actually rusty. He's verdigreed because the oxidation means different things. Rust is harmful on iron. Verdigris is not necessarily harmful. It actually can be quite protective. They'll turn around. They might talk to the Blushes Caravan, which is, you see this colorful Bardo kind of wagon that's turned out. There seem to be a number of bored women and maybe a few men who are dressed, let's say, floozily, like little floozies. They kind of are over made up and underdressed. They seem to be a little bored in the middle of a day like today. Probably not a lot of business since it's raining and winds like crazy. And you know, oh, they're interested in, like, one of the reasons we came up here. There's not a lot of business up here, but we figured we'd come up here because we heard the rumors that there are some Pegasus or Pegasi in the area. We were looking to maybe try to see if we could acquire some of their hair for makeup brushes that would maybe highlight our beauty and maybe be a boost to our business. They also know of a satyr encampment that's also to the north that potentially has some clue for dealing with the wisteria tree. You know, they're able to acknowledge that the Fey kind are very strange. Perhaps they have something, you know, something that will help you with your strange overgrown tree. Seems to reason they might. And then they might run across the locksmith and then the person in argument with a customer, and that customer who stomps off. And they talk to the person and they're like, oh, they're actually trying to buy keys, or trying to get me to make them thieves' tools. They were asking for keys to very specific locks that they definitely shouldn't have been asking. And we know that they talk about, oh, they wanted something from Armory, the Chancery, and Farrah's private bath. I think we're going to change out the Armory. If we want to make this silly, and I think I do want to make it relatively silly, because then the rest of it's going to be pretty serious and pretty climactic. So I think I might change up some of these rooms to be like, oh, they're looking for something very silly stuff. So like I said, maybe they're going into the private bath because they're looking for like underwear or something silly like that. And maybe they're looking for some other stuff over here. Then we'll have the evening at the keep. Charles Rogel will arrive. Be like, oh, it's you guys. And I thought I was done with you. You guys cost me a job, and now you're bringing me here. Like, I mean, but I need the money. Well, you know, the pay is this, this, and this. You know, 8 gold a day. You know, my labor, bring my own stuff. Plus, you guys seem to be around wherever danger is, so I assume that there will be danger in this. And then sort of 10% jobber's cut. Any loot. And then as the evening progresses, they'll yay or nay And then they will have their rest encounter, they'll have encounters, they'll have well as Padfoot's in the night. So I'll do the encounters in case they, for whatever reason, don't go to the market or totally skip over or don't pick up on the idea that, hey, probably somebody's going to come try to rob the keep. And we don't end up really doing a lot of this. Padfoot's in the night. Just in case, and see if there's anything that happens overnight. And actually, we can roll for that literally right now. Oh, well, 1 means an encounter. We'll go Caleb and Zarnok none. Ash. Creature encounter. And this will probably be the sneak thing. Question mark. They might come up with something else as an alternative, just as a little myself. You know what? I can do it right now. And let's just roll a D100. Let's just get an NPC. A scribe. So some sort of scribe wandering around at night. Unlikely to be a combat encounter with a scribe. Probably just going to be a talking encounter. I don't know. Maybe they'll have some information. We can. Did I already close it? I have not yet. So let's. Right before this will be the last thing we do, and then we'll call it quits for today. On our kind of spark chart, got a 19 obstruct, 46 obstruct wealth. Okay. This is like obstruct wealth seems like somebody maybe trying to do like embezzlement or trying to do stuff. It's like, is this a good person? And we rolled a 16. They are a good person. So this is somebody who's found essentially. Put it in here. So that way I can use. All right, and it'll be like issues. Gosh. In the Chancery books. Maybe they've stumbled across something, somebody who might be embezzling or holding over some numbers, or somewhere the numbers don't add up. Either somebody's taking something, which could put us right into the sneak thief. So even if they didn't pick it up, I could have them run into the scribe, have the scribe be like, hey, we should go check out the Chancery, I guess. And they'll be able to show their silver cloak pins now and be like, oh, yeah, you know, and one of Bayfar's trusted. Like, okay, well, come with me then. And they can go do that, and maybe they can wander across. They can wander across the sneak thief if they haven't already. Now, at that point, two of my characters might be asleep, so it would be kind of a solo adventure. So I would probably maybe give one of them the scribe to play, and then I would probably just have the other one maybe play the sneak thief, honestly. And give them the idea of like, oh, here's a sneak thief, here's what they're trying to do, here's where they're going. And so they can have a little fun cat and mouse time at the table. I like to do that. I've started doing that more and more because I have a group that separates so often. Is that I don't want the games to become when I have 3 or 4 PCs where it feels like each of them only really gets to play an hour, and the rest of the time we're focusing on the other PCs because they always have a tendency to split up. Be like, oh, well, how can I get them involved? And be like, oh, well, you guys can play some of these NPCs, or maybe you guys can run the bad guys, or stuff like that, just to kind of keep them like engaged at the table, so they're not spending more time watching the game than playing the game. But yeah, so that's a good start. I'll probably do a little bit more. Like I'll need to do Charles Rogel. That's probably one of the things we're gonna do. Fingers crossed. We're gonna stream on Thursday, and then when I stream on Thursday at the same time, I will probably do the sidekick sheet for Charles Rogel. Like I said, I've got plenty of time to prep this. So anytime that I have plenty of time, I'd like to do a little bit more prep, be a little bit more in depth. Knowing that I have probably prepped more than the session's worth of content already, I'm not that worried about it. But it is fun just to keep things, try to get a little side adventure, a little side thing. Try to make things a little bit more fun, lighthearted right before we go into the more serious stuff with the Wisteria, and probably they're going to encounter Lasha again and have to deal with Lasha. Which, well, good luck, guys. It's gonna be difficult. And she is not a nice lady, and she is a high CR giant. So you're gonna need to use your noggins if you want to beat her. Probably, you're not gonna beat her in brute force. She's a giant, and you are but puny man things. All right, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. This is always fun. Thanks for helping me along with my prep and going along and doing that stuff. That stuff's always really fun to me. Kind of jump in and look at all that stuff. Like I said, on Thursday we're going to do that. I think we're also going to take a look at free RPG days coming up. So I'm going to take a look at what's going to be on offer and grab some of what I think are going to be my picks for the day, because I'll probably be out and about to my friendly local game store and running, because I know that they will be participating this year. So I'm going to drop in and try to pick up some of the things that I think might be good to have and add it to my big collection off screen. I'm pointing at it like you can't see it, but I have this doesn't belong in there. This is a full system. But got a bunch of like quick starts and stuff. So like if you ever want to try out new systems, it's a really great day for you. This one's for the basic role-playing system. So this is the thing that does what RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu and Pendragon. I think it does a space. Anyways, basic role-playing is a somewhat setting neutral thing. It's got a universal engine, so it's really great one to learn. It's D100 system if you want to learn a system that you can use and for a whole bunch of different types of games. So if you want to play space games or post-apocalypse games or modern games or Call of Cthulhu like Victorian investigation games or 1920s investigation games, or fantasy, it does fantasy too. The RuneQuest is Bronze Age fantasy, so it's really cool. But they've got lots of stuff from really established things like Chaosium, which is who makes that, as well as lots of indie publishers. It's always a lot of fun. So check the website. It's like freerpgday.com. You can find out if there's a place around you that's doing it, and then you can check back with me on Thursday as I go through the stuff and look at the stuff that maybe I want to pick up on that day. Then on Saturday we're going to jump back in. I'm working on potentially a topic we'll talk about on that day. If not, we'll do the solo RPG. It depends on how much time I have to do some prep for that. But that's it, guys. Have fun, and I'll see you guys, I guess, here in a couple days, all right? Bye.